Welcome back to the Unpopular Playground. I'm Jen Lynn,
And I'm Debbie.
and we are going to be talking on this episode, this third talk for the month on needs versus wants. But first, we're going to review and go back to the apps for income tracking because that way you can track what your needs and wants are. We ran out of time the last episode, so we want to make sure to cover that. There's a simple way that you can track your needs, essentials, groceries, gas, because we had a bunch of different categories. And then your wants, everything non essential. And then your third thing, your savings and debts, your money towards the future. You're building awareness without overwhelm. And it's about making sure your money goes where you want, basically. We've we've been having a little issues with the computer sometimes. So doing our best. Pocket Guard. It shows what's safe to spend after the bills are paid. So that's kind of a neat thing. A con is less detailed reporting. There's Honeydew. That's if you're a couple and it gives couples shared individual categories. It's less robust tracking for solo users, but it's great for couples who want transparency without micromanaging each other's personal accounts. And there's also one that's called Good Budget. It's the envelope system that we talked about, but it's digital. And then there's another one called Simplify by Quicken, and it's pretty easy, quick, clean, robust. Debbie, you mentioned Google Sheets. There's another
Yes.
one called YNAB called You Need a Budget. It's zero-based budgeting. It's a job for every dollar, basically. But it is a subscription. One that I'm going to try personally that I'm excited is called Rocket Money. I've been seeing the advertisements for that. And what it does that I'm most interested is that it aggressively seeks down your subscriptions and gives you the ability to cancel them. So a lot of times you get those subscriptions, you don't know how to cancel them. You can
Uh-huh.
link in all your stuff with Rocket Money and it's going to track down those subscriptions that you might not have even known that you had that you've been paying on, and it's gonna allow you to cancel those. So, I'm most excited about that because that's an amazing thing, and I
Yeah.
think it is a subscription, but it also does bill negotiation for you if you want that service. It does have an extra fee. I won't need that, but it does help you track your expenses as well, and it automates it. I'm gonna let
Yeah.
Debbie, I'm gonna let you start off on that, and I have a few thoughts on that when you were done with your part. Go ahead.
Okay. The key difference between needs and wants, needs are for survival. They're required to live, work, and stay healthy. For example, groceries, rent, mortgage, utilities, basic clothing, and transportation. Your wants are desire, not survival. And these are things you desire, but they're not necessary. They increase comfort or pleasure, such as streaming services, designer clothing, vacations. Like a car might be a need for someone with a long commute, but a want for someone who can walk to work. So you got to distinguish between those. And how to determine the difference is a thing called the time test. If you have a desire and it fades after a while, it's most likely a want because you didn't need it to survive. Ask yourself if you can survive or function without it. Budget alignment. Needs should be covered before allocating money to wants. Understanding these categories help in making informed, non-impulsive spending choices.
I got some fun facts about
Oh,
me. Basically, when you purchase something, it releases scientifically in your body chemistry dopamine,
right.
the feel good chemical. And eventually all that glitter fades. And a lot of the purchasing that we do is emotional. And a good
Mhm.
salesperson, they want to get you emotionally buying and they blur that line between needs and wants. And, you know, and they want to get that dopamine going. You'll want to look out for that, especially when you go to purchase something. If somebody is trying to press you into making a decision, right
Go.
now, today, that is the biggest red flag that you could possibly imagine on the 30-hour rule. People who wait for their wants 30 hours are a third less likely to purchase. Impulse is a fast talking salesperson who gets you drunk on emotion and will do anything to prevent you from walking away. And especially desperate ones like the timeshares,
Bad
and
news.
you go to Las Vegas, they're going to have all those timeshare salesmen that just come to our presentation. We'll give you free hotel, we'll give you casino money, all that. And then they'll hold you prisoner for 4 hours to listen to their stupid talk. And I went to one and I knew what I was going into. My mom had mentioned, she's like, oh, you're going to be stuck there. And I thought, well, I thought I was just going to be in an auditorium. I brought stuff for me to do and things like that. Thank God it was one that I drove to myself. A lot of
Yeah.
times they'll put you on a bus and keep you captive. Don't let them take you on a bus. But
No.
but I got $100 of casino money at what is it? Excalibur. And I won all my money back on slots to pay for the whole trip. But I will never do that again. It wasn't worth my time.
And another thing, if I can interrupt a minute, what
Absolutely.
people don't understand about timeshares, they tell you, okay, well, this is this and this is what it costs and that. They do not tell you that every month you're going to get a bill for cleaning and maintenance of that unit, whether you're using it or not. Those fees are phenomenal and they add up and add up. And then you're already in over your head and trying to get out of these things. I got an attorney because, I mean, it was all fine and dandy while my husband was alive and well. But when he got really sick and was, at the point where he was going to be, leaving us, I called and I wanted to cancel it. And they're like, well, blah, 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 blah. I called an attorney. I hired an attorney and I said, look, here's the deal. When I purchased this, my husband was healthy. We used it, we paid, but my husband has passed away. And now I can't afford to do the upkeep on it. And I'm not going to be traveling for a long time because we traveled together. And it took 2 years for them to shut it down. But in those 2 years,
Oh,
I didn't have to pay them any money. And the lawyer would contact me and say, have you received any notices? Because they like to send you notices like this is going to ruin
yeah.
your credit. And I said, no, a couple of times I did. And then I just forwarded to him and he took care of it. But for 2 years until I got out of it, thank God he handled everything and I didn't have to pay a dime. And then I finally got a thing. And the best part, it didn't ruin my credit.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean,
So
it's hard.
yeah, that's one thing you got to think about. Those fees are ridiculously high. And why would you pay for that when you could just go to a hotel and, you know, you pay for the room? And when you leave, that's all part of paying for the room.
Well,
And you don't have to
exactly.
keep paying it for every month. So,
Right. You just really got to think about all these things when you're purchasing, and you can't make those kind of thoughts, those cognitive, common sense thoughts on the spot. And that's
no,
what they want to do. That's what the salespeople want to do. They want you to do that impulse, emotional buying, make you feel
right.
good. Oh, let's show you everything. All right. When you want to sign the paperwork, you get all excited, and they're not selling that particular thing. They're selling an emotion like Coca Cola. You look at any
Exactly.
commercial, they're selling an experience. They're selling everything based on emotion that you can, even beer commercials. You're not buying the beer, you're buying the culture, the experience of everything.
Right.
So, and then there's also a phone bill test. It said choose between, let's see, paying my phone bill or paying my Netflix. Which one's more important? You know,
Yeah.
with, need versus want. You can put them up against one another. And then historical ones in 1920s, the refrigerators were a world luxury, and,
Yes.
and everybody thought that was a must have. They didn't call it an ice box for nothing. I know my grandma told me that it was actual a thing, and somebody brought a block of ice every
Yes.
week,
Yeah.
and,
My
they called
grandma too.
it block, and and I thought that was funny. I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, there's the refrigerators that plugged in or whatever, but it's still called refrigerators, the ice box." I always wonder, why do you call it an ice box?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, because there's no ice, I guess, unless you have to defrost it up. And so she had explained that to me. And
Yeah.
so basic refrigerator that you have now was considered a luxury in the
Mhm.
20s and 1920s. So I thought that was interesting. And I have a 3-question gut check that I thought was interesting that you want to ask yourself when you're deciding, is this a need or a want? Can I survive without it?
Right.
If it's a yes, it's a want. If it's a no, it's a need. And surviving we need to define what that is. Because some people would say, yeah, I can't survive without it. But does it have to deal with your literal health or your safety? If it's not, it's probably a want.
Right.
You're not gonna physically die if you don't have that mani pedi, for
What?
instance. And 2, will this expense happen regularly? That's where a lot of those things you'll buy something once, then they have the hidden subscription.
Uh-huh.
And you look and you're like, why did this come out? I just wanted a one-time thing.
Yeah.
You need to look in that fine print. Ordered one thing or filled out one thing because I wanted information for something. And next thing you know, I have a subscription.
Yeah.
So I have to call the bank again to deal with that because I did not agree to a subscription. I didn't want a monthly thing. I just wanted this one thing. So,
Right.
so you want to think about that. Your groceries, your rent, electricity, those are recurring. That's what they call recurring expenses. And then your playlist, your downloads, all of those kind of things. And question 3 is, if I lost my income tomorrow, would I still be able to pay for this?
Uh-huh.
And your needs float to the top when money is tight. And you're like, yeah, I really don't need to pay that because I have to work, I have to live, I have to have somewhere to live. And I need, you don't need that new outfit, even though Kohl's
Right.
gave you $10 cash. That when you talked about income expenses, Debbie, yeah, like where to find out where your income, when you look on your paycheck, um,
Uh-huh.
there's something that's called net and gross
Close.
pay.
Yeah.
So your net pay, your gross pay is everything that you make before taxes.
Right.
And your net pay is
It's
actually
take home.
what you take home after the taxes. So
Right.
that's what the part that you want to look at when you're doing your income tracking because you can do, oh, I get paid this much and I times it by 40. This is what my pay is going to be. That would be your gross pay
Yeah.
before taxes. And sometimes when you're getting those credit cards, they'll want to know what your gross pay is. They don't care about your net pay. They want to know what they total your whole pay. They don't care about the taxes that you pay. They're like, okay, this is what you're making, and you have to deal with everything else. So these are some things that you need to think about. I have just a couple of final thoughts, but Debbie, I thought I would start with you. If you have anything else first.
No, I honestly I don't. But I do want to say, like when you're talking about pay stubs and that, you also have to look at, when you get paid, look at everything that gets taken out. I mean, there's a list at the bottom of your paycheck. You're paying for disability, you're paying for your social security, you're paying for so many things, and people don't realize that. And remember, everybody, the more you make, the more they take. So,
Mhm.
sometimes working all these hours overtime, yeah, you're going to be making a lot more, but the government's going to be taking a lot more. So
Exactly.
you have to think about that and just live. My whole thing is like live within your means. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses because I guarantee you the Joneses are struggling so they can keep pace with the Smiths. And it goes
Yeah.
down and down the line. So it's like, be you. Live the way you want to live, and you don't have to impress anybody. You really don't. Just impress yourself.
Don't
And
upgrade your life with that promotion or whatever. Here's one thing that I would say on promotion before you accept that promotion, you want to think about the money that you're going to be making. There's also something called salaried versus hourly. If you make
right,
a salaried pay, that's a fixed amount during the month. You need to know what's expected of you, how many hours you're going to be working,
yeah,
overtime, et cetera, because you don't get overtime pay with a salary. The
no,
one nice thing about that is that it's a guaranteed pay that if you're not working at the end of the day and you finish early, you can go home. But when you're hourly, you get OT. So you think about, let's say you're working 40 hours a week and you're making, let's say, $30 an hour, but they
Mhm.
decided to give you a promotion. And it might be on paper a promotion, but let's say that promotion is going to require you to work overtime and 60 hours a week instead of
Sure.
40.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're working every now and then on call. And are you still making that $30 an hour? Because the extra time that you're putting in is taking away. I
Yeah.
had that offered to me and I calculated the time with the salary, monthly salary that I was going to get, and I was making
Well, of course.
less
That's what
money.
salary does.
And I said, no, thank you. I will stay hourly. You can promote somebody else.
Yeah.
Because I want to continue making my $30 an hour plus my overtime and all of that kind of stuff and less responsibility. So when somebody doesn't show up, I don't have to go in and take care of that problem. So sometimes a promotion isn't really a promotion. It's just a way to get free work. So watch out for that.
I pretty much encourage everybody I know work hourly, get paid hourly, because even that you work overtime, you get paid time and a half. And salary, there are a lot of crappy bosses out there that offer the salary because they know darn well that they're going to have you coming in and doing this maybe on a Saturday or staying later on a certain day. Now, those are hours that you're not figuring out that, oh, this is in my, okay, so I'm not doing bad. No, because now you end up, you're working for less than what. So I just recommend to everybody work hourly, get paid hourly. You'll benefit a lot more than salary.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I've turned down so many promotions because of that. It's like, okay, do you want to be a manager? It's like, okay, the manager gets paid maybe a dollar or two more than me, and they
Mm.
have uber more responsibility and all this kind of stuff. And even if they are hourly, you need to think about the time commitment and the
Yeah.
responsibilities. And do you want to take those on? And is that gonna be really worth it? So we're probably gonna be really unpopular for this episode for a lot of the major companies who want to
Well,
exploit you
that's
because we
because
want
we've been there. We've
to,
been there,
you
we've
know,
done that, and we're trying to help you guys not to get yourself in that situation.
that's why
So
we're unpopular.
that exactly, because
No,
we tell you like it is, not like, the outside world wants you to
not what
believe
you
it
want to
is.
hear. That there's a world, a society narrative that people want you to follow, and we're trying to get you go off grid and think for yourself.
Exactly.
Okay,
That is cool,
you
especially for
know
the young kids today. And
that
even the ones that are 30.
that are gamers. Yeah, I mean, my
Yeah.
son's a gamer, so he would be able to get this. Think of your budgeting like a video game with your needs and wants. Your main quest is your needs. Your wants are your side quests to make it fun and enriching, but they're optional. And then your savings would be a chance to level up for your future boss fights. Building that thing so when you have that, that boss fight, you'll have a lot of extra oomph to be able to last that emergency. And
I
final thoughts is building money habits now makes it easier to shape what you want for your future. Watch your social media consumption because they blur your wants and needs. They socially engineer your wants into needs. Make it feel like everything is a need and it's not. It even what I came across recommends a 48-hour cool off to see if you still want it. And if you still want it and you know that, oh, yeah, it's not really a need, but I want it, budget for it. You
yeah,
can budget for it still. I mean, there's nothing saying that you can't have these things, but you want to be able to pay for it comfortably so that you're not sacrificing your needs. You're not sacrificing your car payment or anything
yeah.
like that. You don't want to sacrifice those things. Needs keep you in the game, make it fun.
Excellent. So on that happy note, I
We
would
will.
say we'll see you on our next episode, which is going to be saving for retirement, wealth building. And until then,
Any questions that you have, make sure to smash that subscribe and that notification bell so that you can get all of our
Yeah.
new episodes. It helps our algorithm, especially making comments, and then share to anybody
Absolutely.
well that people would benefit. The more you share, the more we can get out to people who need this information.
Exactly.
So see you in the next
Exactly.
episode, everybody.
Yes, you will.
Bye.
If you're all about staying curious and having fun, you're in the right place. Follow us here, The Unpopular Playground. Make sure to share this with your young adult and high school friends. You can reach out to us direct on Insta at Unpopular Playground 1791 with your questions, or even just to say hi. Stay curious and see you next episode.